before Jeremy and I made the move back to Ohio from DC, there was one person in Washington who would constantly pressure us to move back to Ohio. On the floor of the US Senate, where my husband worked, in the committee hearing room, when are you and Katie moving back to Cleveland? Well, that guy did successfully lobby us to move back to Ohio, and I'm so glad he did, which also means I'm so lucky to call him my senator and to have him as our guest here tonight, Senator Sherrod Brown.
Katie, isn't the most important part of the story that I talked you into marrying him? Wasn't that the most important part?
I mean, there was a lot of pressure.
I'm not sure this would have happened if I. And then Lincoln, the birth of Lincoln.
Okay.
I mean, wasn't I kind of the father figure, the coaching figure,
Wow.
I mean, I know you all have parents, but really, give me a little more credit.
There was that. Shortly after we moved back, that was not enough for you. It was, when are you going to have kids? When are you going to have kids? I need more Clevelanders. I need more Ohio voters. I knew your motivation.
You did.
But you know what? It's a good thing. We got our 2 boys now. And so, you saw it. You saw our future. You put us on the right path. So thank you, Sherrod Brown.
Thank you, Katie.
Okay. First things first. There's so much to discuss. There's so much going on, Sherrod. But I have to announce to you and the world that my ballot has arrived.
All right.
Yes. So today is the first day of early voting in Ohio. You can vote by absentee ballot. I plan to fill this out later tonight, put it in the mail tomorrow. Or if I preferred, I could just drop it off at the drop box at the Board of Elections. Or I can vote in person early too. We're allowed to do that as well. So, Sherrod,
not as well, not both.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did
That's
I just pull a Trump
says,
there? Okay. To be clear, I did not mean both. Not as well. Is an option. One of the above. Okay, so Sherrod, there is a lot of news actually happening tonight. I have a lot of questions for you, but
Can I close my door? Because my dogs are barking. Sorry, hold on.
Of course. I mean, unless they want to join us here.
Yeah, you don't want them to join us. Okay. They were not going to stop. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Okay, so you're out of session. The Senate is out of session. You're home in Cleveland. I think that the specific reason you guys are out of session right now. Oh, by the way, I've got my Ohio pride. See, this is my Cleveland gear on for you too.
Like that.
But so you're out of session right now because there has been, basically an outbreak of COVID on Capitol Hill that has occurred because Trump decided to have the event announcing his Supreme Court nominee at the White House, unmasked. There was an indoor portion of it. So now some of your colleagues have COVID. And meanwhile, what we've learned this evening is that Trump is saying, let's not move forward on COVID relief and instead just push this Supreme Court nominee through. Okay, what do you say to your staff? What do you say to custodial staff, not just, your immediate staffers, who are here in the Senate working in a space where there is COVID happening, no contact tracing, no focus on COVID or giving relief to the people of Ohio. That just seems. What do you say to your staff and others around you?
Well, none of my staff works at the Capitol. They're all working at home. There are 75 people that work either in Ohio or in Washington. Every one of them works from home. A number of them, and 4 or 5, will come in every week or 2, pick things up, do something in the office. But there are never more than 2 people in the office at once, and usually not even that. So that's the first thing. But there have been 120 people around the Capitol that. Police officers, custodians, food service people. The Republicans, unbelievably enough, still do a weekly luncheon with each other. They wear their masks in, take their masks off. Apparently they sit sort of far apart, but not that far apart. I mean, you saw the way they acted at the announcement of the Supreme Court justice. And I mean, I'll give you an example and you know this because you've watched Jeremy there. When the Senate's in session, the presiding officer sits up at the top of the sort of what's not podium? What word am I thinking? But and then right below him, it's usually a him because it's a Republican senator presiding. There are 4 seats And those are the two parliamentarians and two people who call the roll, and then below them there are other people. And these senators that are presiding typically take their masks off when they talk, and they're projecting their voice and projecting other things that come out of their mouths that could be this virus. I mean, the recklessness is just a remarkable thing to watch. That these senators just don't seem to care. I mean, look at Trump going back into the White House. It was a bunch of people that, well, they don't really matter much because they're they're custodians or they're valets or they're food service people, and I'm sure he doesn't know their names or care very much.
I mean, what I hear from moms across Ohio watching this is like, we all have been bending over backwards to think about every situation we're putting our kids in, to make sure that we're protecting grandparents. I know you and Connie have been going through all kinds of choreography when it comes to grandkids as well, just to try to keep everyone in your family safe. And then just to see this, oh yeah, we're going to have an event because we feel like it, indoors, no mask.
It's that, and then it's legislatively, you're on your own.
Yeah.
I mean, my daughters, we have two daughters who live in Columbus. Each of them has two children. You know them, Katie. And the ones that are old enough are in Columbus public schools. But the Columbus public schools, because they don't have a whole lot of money, the city schools, they aren't open for in-person learning. But the wealthier suburbs are, mostly, not entirely. But but the Senate and the president have voted no dollars for public schools to open safely. They voted no dollars for 600,000 Ohioans have lost their unemployment benefits. They can't find work. They were getting $600 a week. Now it's zero. We're going to see a wave of evictions, and McConnell and Trump just consistently, essentially say you're on your own. And that's unfortunately what's happened to far too many people. There's my favorite line from Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln his staff wanted him to stay in the White House and win the war and free the slaves and protect the Union and preserve the Union. And Lincoln said, no, I got to go out and get my public opinion bath. Well, Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump ain't doing much of that. They're not out listening to people and hearing about seeing their pain and listening to their problems and just listening to them describe their lives. And, we can, as senators, we can live pretty cloistered lives if we choose. And too many of them choose that.
I don't see this going very well for them with any Ohioans across the board, whether you are directly impacted as a small business owner or needing that relief based on everything that's going on in your life, or even with, so many women in the suburbs are just running the other way from this president. But you do hear occasionally from some women, oh, well, but, the economy's going okay for me. The stock market's okay for me, for some people who that touches. And, but look at what the reaction was across the board, in our economy from the stock market on down to this today. So I don't think that this is going to be a winner with anyone, certainly not any women I know.
Well, I think that's clear. And this state was considered because Trump won this state against Hillary by 8 points. People thought, well, this is
what I want to talk about.
And It's not. Okay, let's talk about it. Go for it.
Okay. So you and I know very well, and we didn't like it at all, that Ohio was pretty much written off following the 2016 election. As you said, Trump won here by 8 points, and people just thought, oh, maybe Ohio is not the swing state that it's always been. Of course, no Republican has ever won the presidency without Ohio. No Democrat since 1960. This has always been a swing state, a bellwether state. And, so I don't think it's any surprise to those of us who live here that we're right back here again as a toss-up state. Biden's actually leading. But this is what I wanted to talk about tonight. The significance of Ohio, Sherrod Brown. Nobody knows this state better than you. Do you think that Ohio actually can flip back to blue in 2020? And what would that mean for the election at large?
Of course it does. And I can't believe how well you know it, considering you didn't move back here nearly as early as some of us were suggesting you do. And you had never lived here before. So pretty impressive.
No, but it is my home now.
Well, look, I know it is. And you've made it that for sure. Look at what's happened this morning. To early voting, as you held up your ballot, early voting started today, meaning you can go to the Board of Elections today. If you can, your mail ballot will be, Connie and I sent in our absentee application. We didn't get it yet, but we'll get it in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
You can vote, but today they're at the Board of Elections in Franklin County, the place where you early vote. My daughter was there. My daughter's in city council, as Katie knows, and she went out there to greet people and to just kind of do some stuff with the media. And reporter told her that the Board of Elections opened at 8 a.m. Reporter told her people started lining up at 4 a.m. to vote on the first day of voting. And then we saw newspapers all over the state. The Columbus Dispatch did this. They just ran video they had people all over running video of early voting. So many people are voting early. And the crowds are mostly young. They're mostly female. There are many people of color. They're not Trump voters mostly, and overwhelmingly not. And at the same time, 2 million people already in Ohio, like you, Katie, and like Connie and me, have already sent in for absentee ballots. So there is this. Ohio going, and I know what red, wine, and blue means to so many of you, and it's so impressive what you've all done, what Katie's done, what you've all done. And this is a potential. I mean, if Ohio goes for Biden, and I think it's going to, it's electoral college landslide, because Ohio is harder to win than Florida or Pennsylvania or Michigan or Wisconsin or even North Carolina now, or Arizona. And so if Ohio goes for Biden, and I think it will, and you can just see sort of landslide coming, and Trump continues to do stupid things and awful things, and more people are seeing it. He'll still have his 35 or 40% base, which is inexplicable in many ways, that they continue to think this man should be president of anything. But they do, a third of them, 40% at the most, and
not enough to win.
What's that?
Yeah, not enough to win.
Not even close to enough to win. And people like Biden. Biden fits this state. He's and just in terms of, I mean, Trump's incompetent. I mean, look at one of the things. I was talking to a group of retailers today, and these are pretty Republican conservative people. They own small businesses. They own retail operations and restaurants and others, and they've taken a terrible beating from this. And I'm sure some didn't like it that I said this, but most of them had to acknowledge, or at least agree with it, if not really acknowledge. And that is, if Trump hadn't lied to us in March, and if he had treated us like adults and said, this is a terrible thing that's happening, he could have blamed China. That's fine. I mean, it started there, but whatever. It's a terrible thing that happened. I'm going to start wearing a mask. I suggest you all do. Make sure you socially distance. We'll close down our economy. It won't be very long if we all do what we need to do. If that had happened, your kids and my grandkids would be back in school now safely. A lot of those businesses would be up and running again.
Yes.
Tens and tens and tens of thousands of Americans would still be living now. All of these things would have happened. Businesses would have closed. I mean, and instead he lied to us, and he tried to cover it up, and he tried to dismiss it. And look what's happening. We are no further ahead on this virus than we were 6 months ago. And we know what to do. We just don't have, I mean, you all know the number. I think you've heard it. 4% of the world's population, 22% of the world's deaths. It's not, we don't have good doctors in Cleveland and Columbus and Cincinnati and Dayton. And so of course we do. We just have a lousy leader.
Exactly. And we all know what to do. I mean, this is what I've heard too, over and over, from moms with school-age kids saying, why can't he get it? What to do here? I put a mask on my 5-year-old every day. No complaints.
Yeah.
In fact, one mom told me yesterday, her son was asking, how does the president have COVID? Didn't he wear a mask? I mean, it's seriously.
Well, and we were talking earlier. I see, I wear a mask when I speak on the Senate floor. Most don't. But I just think anytime I'm on camera, it's important that I wear a mask. And people in positions of responsibility need to act like it. Instead, you see Trump criticizing Biden for wearing a mask. I see lots of my colleagues in committees taking their masks off, and sometimes walking down the hall without a mask, and almost flaunting it, that they're proud, because wearing a mask is not manly. Wearing a mask, whatever they think, that they have made mask wearing into a partisan thing is resulted in the death of a whole lot of Americans, period.
Yeah. Well, it's not connecting with any of the women I know in Ohio. And that is a broad cross section of women from diverse political backgrounds. It's just, you have no idea what's going on in our lives. This is just what we do to move forward, and they refuse to do it.
Yep.
Okay. So look, the bottom line about Ohio, guys, is that Ohio can save our democracy. If Biden wins Ohio, it's over. And the other really, important thing to know about these ballots is all this voting early. We got a month to do it in Ohio. Those ballots are counted first on election night. In Ohio, they process them as they come in. Some states, they don't even open the envelopes, but here, your vote is first counted on election night. So just like you are in the position to save our democracy, Ohio, with women leading the way. So let's get it done.
The only votes that aren't counted election night are votes that mailed in on time but don't arrive until after the election. If they're mailed the day before, they arrive the day after, they count them then after election night. They still count, but do it early. And
do it early.
Right. Because if we win Ohio, it's an electoral college landslide. And if it's an electoral college landslide, we'll know it on election night. And it will make Trump, Trump's going to protest. Trump's going to say it's rigged. Trump's going to whine and bring lawsuits, but nobody will believe it if it's an electoral college landslide. And then next year, if we win a decisive election instead of just inch out by a whisker, as they say, if we win by a substantial margin, it makes it easier to govern next year and to get things done for the country. So that's why, even though Ohio's not anymore perhaps the first swing state they think of, like Wisconsin or Michigan or Pennsylvania or Florida, we're maybe the most consequential state, because if we win here, as Katie says, it's announced on election night, and it tells the country and it tells the media this election's over.
So if you are exhausted, if you are ready for this election to be over on election night, if you do not want a contested election, if you are ready for the Trump presidency to end and not have this thing get really drawn out, we all got to vote early and all get our friends to do the same. Okay. Yeah. That is how Ohio saves the democracy. I am so excited now to bring on my good friend, Meredith Lawson-Rowe, who has a question for you, Sherrod. Councilwoman Lawson-Rowe from Reynoldsburg, one of the first African-American women elected to the city council there in 2019. And
you brought a lot of people with you, didn't you, Councilwoman?
Yes, sir, I did, Senator. We swept it. We have the supermajority. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Can I say one other thing, Ms. Lawson-Rowe? That is that when I lived in Columbus, not many people in Reynoldsburg look like you. And
yes, sir.
You turned that community into a diverse, progressive, look who's getting elected and changing that part of Franklin County. So thank you.
Here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Senator. You are our beloved senator. And while we are on the conversation of suburban women, we're all suburban here at Red, Wine, and Blue. And the president loves to call us suburban housewives. And he thinks that we're voting for him. So tell me what you're seeing and hearing across the country and across the state about the suburbs, and what type of impact do you think that we suburban women will have on this election?
Well, the impact, I'll answer the second part first. Your impact is going to mean that Donald Trump loses. That's the first thing. But I think that, I thought earlier, when I first started, when I was starting to work early after Biden became the nominee, essentially in March or April, whenever it was, I thought it was suburban women in places like Reynoldsburg and Upper Arlington, which has changed, and Westlake around Cleveland, and places like Indian Hill and Cincinnati, or whole Blue Ash and other places. I thought it was suburban women.
All the places where our women are. Yes.
Yeah, but I thought that was what was happening. But I think what's also happened is the number of suburban women that are carrying along suburban men to vote against Trump and to vote for Biden is pretty spectacular. And it really started with suburban women, whether it's people they love or just neighbors. I'm seeing more and more people in the suburbs generally say they've had enough of this president. It's because he's trying to divide us. He wants to turn Reynoldsburg against Columbus, and Westlake against Cleveland, and Blue Ash against Cincinnati, and Oakwood against Dayton. He wants to turn the suburbs against the cities. I mean, Trump said today, when he said, we're not going to do any more negotiations, I'm tired of helping these Democrat-run cities. Well, these Democrat-run cities, as he says, are the power, the center of the metro areas. Reynoldsburg needs Columbus, and Columbus needs Reynoldsburg, and Trump really doesn't understand that. I mean, he's a guy that he doesn't understand much of anything because he never listens. He doesn't listen to anybody. And, you know, I won't even go into all that, but really it's your activism in the suburbs that has changed things. And that's that. And I love the fact that they had somebody from Reynoldsburg on, a town that was really Republican 15 years ago, that is now so diverse and so smart and so progressive and so ready to change the world. So thank you.
I mean, that's you, Meredith, right there. I've never heard anyone describe you better. The change maker of the suburbs. I love it.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you,
Thank
Meredith.
you, Councilwoman Wasserman.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate it.
Meredith. And we're going to have a few other women on later to kind of debrief on our conversation. And you'll get to say hello to them as well. But Sherrod, we talk a lot here at Red, Wine, and Blue about taking care of ourselves and each other so that we can do the work that we need to do to make a difference in this election. And we believe that, you know, creating a community where we have that support from each other is so essential to being able to put ourselves out there and influence our friends, our networks. And we just always like to ask someone like you who may lead a different life than ours as a senator, you know, what do you do to stay sane through all of this? What rejuvenates you? How do you keep your head clear in all the madness?
I mean, it's hard. I think everybody's challenged. I see the struggles of my daughters and our son, and they, you know, they're small families. Their mother and father are married. They have, 3 of them have 2 kids. 1 of them has 1 child. It's hard for everybody. School's hard. Being home's hard. They are lucky because they can work from home and they aren't strapped for money. They're not rich. They're not even upper middle class, but they have a decent stream of income that keeps them going. They're lucky that way. But I see the strain on them and the stress on them and how hard their lives are. So, I mean, one thing, Connie and I, we are here with the 2 of us and our 2 dogs. Having pets really helps during this. Having a wife that's as great as Connie really helps with this.
I mean, we all know that. You are married to Connie Schultz, the woman who reminds us to breathe every day.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. And I do, one of the things I do going back and forth, this is kind of silly, but a young man named Andy drives me back and forth to Washington. I work from home, then I go to my little office in the basement of the Capitol. It kind of looks like a college dorm room now because I have a microwave and a refrigerator. Nobody else is in there except me ever. And I go back and forth to the floor with my mask and then drive home. But Andy's really good with baseball trivia, so we do that kind of thing. But a big part of it is the garden this year. My garden had better tomatoes and more tomatoes this year. I supplied some of my neighbors and my brother with tomatoes, and Connie makes great tomato paste and other stuff, tomato sauce, and other stuff. And it's kind of kept me sane, but it's a struggle for all of us, and we know that. And we
no question. I wonder if that garden is a little better tended to this year.
Well, yeah, I water more regularly. I weed more regularly. And now I'm cleaning it up earlier for the spring than I normally would have. Yeah. So it does get more attention.
Yeah. Okay, Sherrod, we love to always end these interviews with just a little rapid fire round, just a few questions to get to know you a tiny bit better. Okay. These will be quick. A piece of advice you'd give your teenage self.
Well, I wasn't cool, and I realized it's okay to not be cool. I guess that's
totally okay.
That takes you a few years to remember that. So start with that.
Good. Okay. How about a favorite guilty pleasure? What are you going to tell us?
Connie she wouldn't really like me saying this, but we love our dogs, and I do this little thing with my dog Franklin that I feed him carrots out of my mouth, and he never has bitten my lip yet. But Connie thinks it's really stupid, and she makes fun of me, and she says, "Don't ever share that with Katie or anybody else." So I did.
Oh,
that's
well
really
done.
Weak,
I appreciate a little rule breaking. Thank you for that. All right, the person you'd most want to get a glass of wine with, dead or alive?
Well, this will sound like an easy cop-out answer, but it is Connie in a restaurant. I mean, we just haven't been to a restaurant. We haven't done much. I mean, we are just so careful. I mean, she's got asthma, and I ain't young. And, I wouldn't get well as quickly as Donald Trump gets well, perhaps. But we miss the things like going to a movie theater, and we have one 7 minutes from the house or something. And movie theater seats are more and more comfortable, and you can sit there and, eat more popcorn than you should. But
that's a beautiful answer. I think many women in our community might give the same answer, actually, that they would like.
I think a lot of people would. Just something
a glass
really
of wine
ordinary. Yeah, something really ordinary that way.
Yeah. Okay, Sherrod, we're out of time. I want to thank you, but first I want to bring on just a few other women from our network who just want to say a warm hello as you say goodbye. I think we have Julie, who's down in Mason outside Cincinnati, along with
Julie and Mason. Oh, I should have mentioned Mason instead of Blue Ash. All right, Julie.
That's fine.
And we've got Meredith back on too. Hey, Nancy.
Hi there.
Julie's county is changing faster than almost any county in the state.
That's Warren County.
Hopelessly right-wing and conservative, and it's changing. Thank you, Julie.
Actually, Senator Nalini and Nancy are also from Warren County. So
cool.
Hello.
3 of us.
Hi.
Here.
How are you, Nan? How are you? What's your name? Naina?
Nalini.
You're all in Warren County?
Yes.
Actually, we're here in Mason.
And you know Beth Goldenfield? You know
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Cool.
Yes, we do. And I agree with Katie that I think we would all like to have a drink with your wife. So
okay, yes, I know you would, but not in a restaurant.
Not in a restaurant.
She had a really good friend of hers over today. They sat in the front porch, and we've done a little bit of that. She's done a little bit of that. We go to my brother's for pancakes. He makes blueberry pancakes. We do that on Sundays. And that's like something we really look forward to every Sunday morning. Going to eat out on his patio and eat blueberry pancakes. What's not to like, right?
Exactly. That sounds perfect.
Yeah, this really does make us appreciate things that we just took for granted. For sure, it does that.
For sure.
It's also I found it's harder. I used to read more books than I'm reading now, and I should have time to read, and I just don't. I don't know if I'm just tired. I don't know what it is.
The pandemic is distracting. It's a little hard to focus.
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
all right.
cool.
Sherrod, thank you for being with us.
This was fun.
This was a lot of fun. We loved having you.
Senator.
We'll do it again. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Bye, Senator.
Thanks, ladies.
Hi, Senator.
All right. You guys, he's so real. I just love how he's like working out of his dorm room in DC, right? I mean, like, I think people have this idea of senators being fancy, and I think some of them really are, but not our Sherrod Brown. You know, he just
got up and shut the door on his dogs because his dogs were barking during a Facebook Live.
Exactly. I love that. Anyway, all right, Julie, take it from here.
Okay.
Meredith.
Yes.
You were awesome.
Yes.
No, you are awesome.
All right. Mwah.
All right, I'm going to start by saying cheers. Thank you, ladies, for joining. And you have a drink with you. I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves. My name is Julie. As you heard the senator talking about me, I live in Mason. And I've actually brought some Mason ladies with me. But Meredith, you've already kind of gotten introduced, but just say hi. And that was so amazing. I loved your conversation with Senator Brown.
Senator is awesome. I'm Meredith Lawson Rowe from Reynoldsburg, and I serve on City Council, and I serve with an amazing team of council members, and I'm just thrilled to be here representing the suburbs.
Yeah. All right, Nalini, what about you?
I'm just so excited. I'm Nalini from Mason, but so excited that I just shared a screen with Sherrod Brown.
And then we have Nancy.
Hi, I'm Nancy Stones. I'm from Mason, Ohio also, and that is exciting to get to talk to him, even if it's just on Zoom.
Well, and I brought on my fellow Mason and Warren County ladies because they, Nalini and Nancy, both had kind of gotten activated just like I did after 2016. So we really wanted to have a little conversation about that. But first, I was going to start off by just saying, you guys heard the whole conversation. I mean, Meredith, you got to ask a question, but I'll start with you. Like, Nancy, what did you think about what Senator Brown was talking about? I found the Ohio stuff fascinating.
I found it encouraging that he really thinks we can flip this state and make it a big electoral landslide. And I really hadn't really counted on that at all. But I was out working at the Board of Elections today in Warren County, and it was a surprising amount of Democrats showing up. It was really heartwarming to see how many came out and how many people thanked me for handing out the Democratic literature. So that maybe there's a swell I just haven't seen before. So that was encouraging.
And I have to tell people who may not live down in where we live, which is a very red county, the fact that a lot of people were taking the sample ballot from the Dems is a big deal.
It's huge. It's absolutely huge.
Yeah.
And I was just overwhelmed by how positive people were and just really thumbs up and taking me aside and side conversations. And, you know, it was really wonderful. So, so that was very encouraging because this has got to stop. I mean, it's Trump's actions today saying he's not going to negotiate until after the election and hold the American people hostage, you know, without any relief, you know, for an authoritarian whim of his was, you know, every day I say it's the last straw. And that really was, you know, like if that doesn't make people wake up and smell the coffee or whatever they need to smell, I don't know what will.
Nalini, what did you think there? What did you think about?
For me, the interesting thing was, is I think what Katie said, which made sense, is if you want to put it away on election night, Ohio's it. And
Yeah.
I really want to put it away on election night. I cannot stand more days and election battle tracking the news. I just want news to get boring again. I really don't want to be in a place where I'm just looking at every New York Times or Washington Post alert and saying, like, what did he do now? Or what just happened right now? I like one after November 3rd, we declare we have a normal president, a normal White House, and it's all just going to get like boring.
Exactly, 100%. I know, and I loved it. Okay, so Meredith, I loved that all the shout outs he gave to you about you being, you know, the change in the suburbs, because Reynoldsburg was very much like where we live. It was much more conservative not that long ago. So I love the shout out for you. Meredith is amazing. If you guys live in Columbus, you need to go meet her down in Reynoldsburg. She has just been moving and shaking things down there. What was that like? What was it like to talk to the senator and ask your question? And what did you think of his answer?
Well, it was truly amazing. But before I get started on that, let me just share, with today being the first day to early vote, I have on my shirt. So yes, it is imperative that we get out and vote down the ballot.
I have to interrupt you for a second because I have on my new shirt. You guys are going to see these soon.
Yes. Mama.
Red, white, and blue. Okay, go ahead, Meredith. You want to vote?
I love it.
I did choose blue.
Me too. Although at the Board of Elections, I wasn't wearing red, white, and blue and giant hats like the Republican election years, but you know, I was a little sort of subtle.
So it sounds like we suburban women, we know how to stage our outfits for voting, first and foremost. Let me just say how humbling it was to be able to ask the senator a question. He's so approachable and so down to earth. And I appreciate everything that you said, Julie, but it's not just me. I serve with the whole team of awesome council members. And so I'm here, I stand on the shoulders of those before me. And what the senator shared with me to kind of piggyback on the other ladies in terms of winning in a landslide electoral, but Ohio, yes, we can save our democracy. You know, the character, our character, the soul of the country is on the ballot. And so we have a choice, and the choice is clear. And we must rejuvenate ourselves and our base, our families, to get out and vote early, get out and vote, you know, on election day, in person, mail in our ballots, however we feel comfortable. We must have a vote plan and share our vote plan and make sure our friends and family share our vote plan, shares their vote plan.
100%.
It was so sobering for him to share the numbers that I already know. I listen and take notes. I wrote down 4% of the world's population, and we are 22% of the deaths.
Yeah, it's insane. It's completely
so,
insane.
The reason why that is because we have a lousy leader.
Right. And I struggle constantly. Yeah, I struggle constantly with, I don't understand how he still has a base of 35 to 40%, but I can't explain that. All I can do is vote.
Did you hear the senator share? And it's inexplicable that they want him to be the president of anything.
Oh, of anything, 100%.
Guys.
I wanted to say that I really do love the fact that he talked about suburban women leading the way and that we're even bringing the men along. And I really hope people who are watching this will recognize that I mean, we are on a countdown now, people. If you woke up in 2016 and were appalled and were upset as I was that you didn't do enough and you should have done more, there's no more time to wait. So I hope you guys will join with us. We know the biggest impact you can have is talking to your friends, because it's just what you do. So we hope you will get involved with us. We have an app you can see on the screen, Outvote, with the campaign code to join us. We help you talk to your friends. We give you fun information to send to your friends. And honestly, you can make a huge impact. I know Nalini and Nancy.
And I remember that, Julie, is waking up and saying, like, should I have told my friends? Should I have been more overt? Should I have reached out and not assumed that they are getting the same information that I am? And this time I'm just not holding back. If I feel like, are they in the boat? Are they not in the boat? I just reach out and ask and ever so subtly share some information. And I think some of the content, whether it's on Facebook or in the app, is so convenient to just like send a gentle text and say, hey, here's something funny. And, at least they've gotten information from a source that is more reliable than ever before, than what they might have been getting it from.
Exactly. And Nancy, I know 2016 was like a gut punch for you.
Oh, absolutely.
You've gone from doing that, well, I don't say nothing, but you've gone from not being involved like I wasn't to, I mean, Nancy's now like this master, a canvas, like she went from like, I don't want to canvas to
costing everyone at the Board of Elections today for the Democratic lit card. No, it's been terrific. And it's been like a blue snowball, starting slowly and building. And you talk to more people and people come to you for information because you become the source of local election information. And it's been really empowering. And I thought it was interesting how we talked about women are now bringing the men along towards the Democratic Party. In past years, men have really dominated the women's vote and sort of dictated. And I think we are seeing that change. And my Ronald Reagan supporting husband, for the first time, has a sign in our yard saying "Republicans for Biden," and he ordered them specifically.
I was the kind who went to vote in 2016 and didn't even know what judges to vote for.
Exactly.
Right. This time I am sending texts to my friends saying, guys, these are your judges. Go vote for Jennifer Brunner, John O'Donnell. Like I am like texting the slate card information, and I'm just like, yes, I know they need it.
Isn't that so empowering? Yes. Excuse me for interrupting. Isn't that so empowering? I too have walked in the ballot into the poll and not educated. And sort of skip over. And those races are just as important, if not more, because they affect us more. And we'll probably stand before a judge before we ever stand in front of the president. So I have taken upon myself is to try to educate myself, my friends, my family, my social media network, to say, hey, you got to meet these people. You got to look them up, because not voting is voting for the wrong person. And voting for the wrong person is voting for the wrong person. So don't be like I used to be and go in there blindly. Look, I have glasses on and I have my ballot, and I send the ballot and I say, hey, yes, I have my sample ballot and know who I'm voting for. And just today, I got a call from a lady that I've known for about as long as I lived here. And she called me and she said, do you have a minute? I want to chat with you to figure out who are the judges I need to vote for, because get this, they don't have a D or R behind their name.
I know.
Well, honey, they are nonpartisan. But I tell you what, I have a sample ballot and it tells you everybody that's endorsed by the Democrats. And so she said, oh, cool. I don't need to talk to you then. Just send it to me.
I've just been texting that image around to people, and it is so empowering.
Yes, isn't it? Yes, I 100% agree. Thank you for reminding me that.
Yeah, and I hope that women out there recognize too that I think so many women question like, oh, I don't know enough. I don't know all the information. You do. You know enough, or you know where to find it for people.
Yeah,
you know, you can look it up. So you can be that voice. And I really, really, really hope that you guys will reach out and get involved with us and download the app and talk to your friends, because we can literally change our state. And I think I've said this before, but I want to emphasize that like some of these state house districts and judicial races, they are won by small numbers because people don't follow them and don't vote.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, I know people are mad and they want to see Trump out, and we all 100% want to see that, but you can actually change. I think what Meredith just said is you're more likely to be impacted by a judge in your community or by someone at the local level, or the state house really impacts your life. So making those changes and talking to your friends, and it's, you don't, the impact you can have is amazing. So we hope you will download the app. I also want to incentivize you because we have these little cute, you can't see, my light is shining on it, but it says Vino the Vote, red wine and blue. We got all kinds of cute gear. So we put prizes, get involved, save democracy. I want to thank everybody for coming on tonight. I really appreciate you guys for your perspective, and thank you for all you're doing, talking to your friends, and I hope everybody has a fabulous evening.
Thanks so much, Julie.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Julie. Nice meeting you, ladies.
Nice meeting you. Bye.